A is for Antep and Z is for Zing. Got 24 more that'll grow in between. They say the spice of life is variety. That's why we're growing so hard on the alphabet of heat.
Boss Bros.
Episode 1.
Hey, what's up? It's Boss. I'm a gardener and a lover of all things spicy. We're here today kicking off a new series called The Alphabet of Heat. What is the Alphabet of Heat? Well, a little backstory. See, in January, I was chatting on the Pepper Lovers Discord, where you'll usually find me, and somebody made a side comment like, hey, Boss is probably already growing the entire alphabet of peppers anyhow. Well, that's a great idea. And so I decided to check my collection and see if I could do that. I've got over 300 types of pepper seeds in my collection right now, and it turned out I had 24 of 26 letters represented already. I was missing V and Q. So like a responsible adult, I got online and found a seed seller who had their pepper varieties sorted by letter, and I ordered Volcano for V and Quishito, I believe it was called, for Q, and then I had all 26. And so the idea is to grow 26 unique varieties of pepper that represent the 26 letters of the alphabet and document that process from seedling all the way to harvest and tasting, and share all of what I learned along the way. And so in order to make that possible, I had to make sure that I was organized, right? How did I do this? I started by narrowing down my list to 26. That was not an easy task. I had a lot of different peppers I wanted to grow, and so I made some decisions based on things like, is it an iconic pepper, like the ghost pepper? Or is it something unique that maybe a lot of people haven't seen, like the Zion mutant? Narrowed it down to 26 varieties, and then I thought, well, I need to be very meticulous about keeping track of when I plant them, when do they sprout, where are they, right? So how do I organize things? And so I decided to use a spreadsheet. I use Google Sheets because it's free, and it works really well for me. And I wanted to make sure that I was tracking as much information as possible. And so in addition to date planted, date sprouted, I'm also going to be tracking first fruits, first harvest, and then hopefully I'll be able to get a measure of total harvest per plant as far as weight goes as well. I've also created a unique Google Photos album for each variety so that I can easily organize the pictures that I take out in the garden all year long and show the progress of each plant. At the end of this season, I'll have a video featuring each pepper type, hopefully, 1 through 26, A to Z, and then we'll be able to document that. I'll create some additional materials to go with this series so that you'll have a reference point to go back to if you're ever wondering, should I grow a neem fedora? What would that be like? You can check out my experience at the end of this season. Really looking forward to this. So let me talk a little bit more about my method. I started all of my seeds in these 12-cell trays. Reason being, I want to have a little bit more granular control over humidity and not necessarily have 72 at a time under one big dome because they're going to pop out at different rates, right? And so if you have a bunch that haven't sprouted yet, you'll want to have the dome on still. But when you have a bunch that have sprouted, you're going to want to take the dome off so that they don't end up getting damped off or too moist, right? By using the 12-cell trays, it gives me a little bit more flexibility. I always number my trays, so this is tray number 10. I also put it on the lid. And then I put A, B, C, 1, 2, 3, 4, so I have coordinates for each cell. That's important because in my tracking spreadsheet, I want to just be able to put in, well, this pepper was planted in tray 1, cell A2, right? That way I don't have to necessarily try and put tiny little labels on every one of these things or somehow remember what was in each spot. I've got a one-to-one mapping and it works really well. After that, once they'd sprouted and I transfer them to these 10 by 20 trays, you can see that I also labeled these. So similar idea, each one has a letter. So each tray is labeled A, B, C, D, E, F, G. I didn't need that many for the 26, but I'm growing about 70 other peppers too. This way, though, my entire garden is well organized while I'm growing out my seedlings. I can easily refer back to my spreadsheet and say, hey, look, plant E13 is whatever. By doing this, it saves me a lot of extra label making. It also makes my labels reusable. So when I label one of these garden trays as E13, it's going to be E13 next year, even if it has a different variety in it. Saves me some work in the long run. And so when I get them out to the garden, we'll do something very similar. Every spot in my garden will be labeled. So I'll have that master spreadsheet. Usually once I get out in the garden, I put labels on most of them as well, just for my sanity, so that I'm not constantly having to look up what's what. But usually a month or so into the season, I remember what's in each location just because I spend so much time out there checking on them, watering them, feeding them, etc. So you're probably saying, all right, you've talked enough. Can we get a look at the 26 varieties you're growing this year? I think we should. So with no further ado, here is 2022's Alphabet of Heat.
Antep Acidolma, Bulgarian Carrot, Cairo de Norte, Datil, Elephant, Fish, Ghost, Hantaka, Italian Long Hot, Jamaican Hot Chocolate, Kung Pao, Lemon Drop, Miss Junie, Neen Fedora, Orion, Peppa Peach, Quintisho, Rainforest, Shishito, Trepadiera du Warner, Yuba-Tuba for the Yuba-Doobies, Vizenka, Weary Weary, Zion Mutant, Yellow Dingaling, Zing. The Alphabet of Heat.
So there they are, the Alphabet of Heat for 2022. You might have noticed that earlier in the video I said I ordered seeds for Volcano, and I'm growing something called Vizenka instead. That's because volcano seeds, none of them germinated. Tried a new seed seller, really not impressed. Not going to put their name out there, but bummer. But so far, that's the only real setback I've had. My Antep Acidolmas, I had to replant those too, but that was my mistake. So those are growing fine now. So all 26 varieties are growing. There's no margin for error here. I have one of each plant in most cases. So I'm very hopeful that everything goes well. I've been babying these as much as possible. They've got about a week before I can put them out in the garden and not have to worry too much about frost or freezing. And so I'm really excited to see how they grow. I'm really hopeful that we actually get fruit off of each plant so that you can get my tasting notes as well, because who doesn't like to watch me eat stuff that's way too spicy for my own good? If you want to follow along with this series, please consider subscribing and hit the bell. You won't miss a video. I'm looking forward to your comments below as I expand on this journey, and I can't wait to share with you all the progress and hopefully wins, very few setbacks, fingers crossed, that we encounter along the way. This is a fun thing for me. I'm also growing, of course, the 10 Hangzhou peppers again this season, as well as, well, a total of about 105, 108 plants right now. So lots of cool stuff coming this season. Can't wait to show you more. But until next time, remember, plants help us grow.